Morgan Fairchild here. It is late night Baltimore, honey.
Good morning, everyone in Baltimore. This is Late Night Baltimore doing an early morning report. Well, everybody's probably hungover for all the football this week. We'll go over the game later in the week. We'll talk about Miami and we'll talk about the Ravens in depth. This week, it's the last regular season game of the season. All right, so here's the top 10. Your Los Angeles Rams, number 10. I'm glad they're your Los Angeles Rams and not mine. We have the Eagles, number 9. Jalen Hurts, he certainly does. We have the Chiefs. Not sure what's happening to them. They aren't the same. Something's wrong with that organization. We have the Cowboys. They were actually given the game against Detroit. Detroit defeated them, but the refs were already getting a lot of criticism this year. That's probably the worst moment of refereeing this year. They got to do something about having be able to challenge penalties that are called. Then we have the Browns with Joe Flacco and a great deal of talent on both offense and defense. And they are rallying around Joe Flacco. That's great. The Lions, who got ripped off, but also made some decisions at the end of that game against Dallas. But now they've got something to focus on. They said that decision by the refs is going to fuel them for the rest of the season and maybe through the playoffs. So they might be a difficult team. The Dolphins struggled. They've got a great deal of injuries. We're going to go more into what we think is going on there. But if they win against the Bills, then they're pretty good. They're in a pretty good position. It matters, of course, how serious all these injuries are that they suffered against the Ravens. The Bills next, only because they've been on a good winning streak, and so they're on the way up. But if they lose to the Miami, they could be out. They could be the second seed, or they could be out of the playoffs, depending on what happens next week. The 49ers came back after the game against the Ravens and won a game against, I don't think, a very good opponent. But Brock Purdy was back and seemed back in good health, so that bodes well for them into the playoffs in the NFC. They're the top seed. And for the top of the list, number one team in the power ranking this week would have to be the Baltimore Ravens, because they are really playing great, and Lamar is probably the MVP. He's having his best season ever, all around best season, and they have the number one seed in the AFC. All right, we'll be back all this week and keep everyone up to date and giving our takes. Okay, good morning.